Okay, so I've seen a million of these tiered things. It's normally the squares where you drag the picture and they're like, this is S tier, this is B, this is C, this is whatever. And I've always wanted to do one for countries I've visited because one, I just think it would be an interesting exercise, but two, uh, because sometimes people ask me like, "Hey, where should I go visit?" Or more importantly, a lot of the times they won't ask me, and I'll be like, "Ah, you shouldn't have gone there. You should have gone to this other place." Uh, and I'm always surprised. Like, I think I've been to like 55 or 60 countries. I don't even know, and uh, and like I rarely much rarer than I think at least, should ask by people like, where should I go on a honeymoon or where should I go for this? When it's like, dude, I've been there. It sucks. Or I've been there. It's amazing. Um, so I wanted to put together this list. I was finally triggered to do this by my friend John saying he wanted to go to Costa Rica. And I was like, dude, don't go to Costa Rica. It's not that great. Um, so I was gonna use those boxes where you drag the boxes, but there are too many countries to put in all those boxes. So I'm just gonna do it as a Word document since that seems to be the better, easier way to do it. All right, so here we go. This is my list, starting from the top to the bottom. This is probably heaven. Anyone would be impressed. This is solid, and I'm happy to be here. It's fine. It's fine. At least I'm not at work. I wish of I kind of wish I didn't come here, but I'm not allowed to complain. And the lowest tier, I wouldn't ever suggest someone go there, and I wouldn't go back for free. Okay, so let's look at our list here. I'm going to try and figure out a better way to do this microphone. Um, Here we go. This is my microphone. I don't have a great microphone set up, so I'm figuring this out. Okay, so now I've got my microphone set up. All right, so what do we got here? So Thailand, obviously, it's beaches, it's amazing stuff, it's cheap, it's really there's not much you could dislike about it. The people are nice, it's very safe. You'd be hard pressed to find someone who went. I've never heard anyone go to Thailand and be like, I hated it. Uh, it's just the combination of food and beaches and happiness, and the people are super nice. It's just, yeah, that's a this is probably heaven list. Oh, which reminds me, I didn't put this one on my list. There's a lot of countries I didn't include because I just kind of forget about them. I'd put Bali as another one. I'd put Bali as sort of third tier, which is like, this is solid and I'm happy to be here, but it's not great. Uh, New Zealand, we were there for like a month. I always refer to it as like America in the 1950s. Like it's safe. There's hardly any traffic. There's good parking. People are super nice. They have healthcare. Like there's lots of outdoor sports to do. I'd probably put that one. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to be too generous here, but I'm going to put that in. This is probably heaven uh, as well. It's kind of a little bit lower than Thailand in my book, but not much. Estonia. It's going to sound like I like everything. I'd also put Estonia in. It's probably heaven. Uh, it's just, yeah, they just do everything right. Like from the infrastructure to the public transportation to the outdoor areas to the cities. Talon's got an amazing old town, which you'd be probably one of the top old towns in the world. It just works. Like everything there just works the way it's supposed to work. And it's nice. You know what? I'm going to lower that one only because it gets cold in the winter. Uh, so that's going to be second tier. Anyone would be impressed, but only because of the winter. If it had a milder winter, it would be in the top tier. Northern Cyprus. We were there for like a month, maybe. I don't know. This all blends together. Part of Turkey. It's a whole demilitarized zone. If you could get there, it's hard to even get there. I would say I put that sort of in the fourth tier. It's fine. At least I'm not at work. Um, it's really pretty cheap there, and but there's just no infrastructure. There's just nothing. There's nothing to do, and there's no infrastructure. They do have some ruins, which are cool. The whole Mediterranean has ruins. Southern Cyprus, we weren't there for very long, so I don't feel terribly qualified to give a opinion of it. It's a big place for the British to go, since it used to be a British territory. It's much more expensive than Northern Cyprus. So we'll put it in the same category. I think British people only go there because they don't know any better. Spain. Spain's a big country, lots of cool stuff. I would put that one uh, pretty high up. We were in San Sebastian, we were in Barcelona, we were in Castelldefels, and then of course there's the whole southwestern part. Um, that's amazing. Uh, it's just a lot, man. Like you could spend 3 months in Spain and have no problem finding, and it's just really, it's like laid back. It's like it's amazing. The only negative to Spain, which quickly becomes a positive, is you have to wait till like 9 o'clock to eat dinner. But other than that, like there's just nothing wrong with Spain. I will say I've never been to Barcelona, or if I have, I've only been for a short amount of time. But every place I've been except Barcelona is amazing. Um, be hard not to like it. Croatia, also in I liked Croatia a lot, but Croatia's a mixed bag. Like the coasts are amazing, the inner areas, some people love it. It's not the most amazing thing, but like Dubrovnik and Split and any place that you can see water is really great. It's relatively inexpensive, with the exception of Dubrovnik. So yeah, I would put that one probably with Estonia in that same second tier list. Italy, uh, you know, Italy's a tough one because it's you're really there for like the art and the architecture and the Vatican and and like Florence and all of that. Um, but it's also very nice. So I'm going to put that for just the history. I'm going to put that in this is probably heaven category. Um, and the high-speed trains make it really easy. So you can get like up and down the entire west coast of Italy in like an hour or two because the trains all go 100 and something miles an hour and they pull right into the cities. Uh, it's a little expensive, but what are you going to do? France, I'd probably put it in the second tier. Paris would be in the first tier, but there's a lot of France, and France is not just Paris, but like Bordeaux is amazing, and I've heard great things about the south of France. There's nothing wrong with France at all. Anyone would go. Anyone would be happy to be there. Uh, um, but the, you know, of course, the French have a reputation for being a little bit snooty about things. I don't think that's really true that I've ever seen. Um, but so I guess Paris would make the top list, and France as a whole would make the sort of second tier. Um, but I can see why if you haven't been anywhere else, that would be pretty amazing to you. Um, Malta, I really liked Malta. There's nothing to do there, but it's relatively inexpensive. It works pretty well. It's pretty. It's got good beaches. It's warm all year round. It's got moderate climate. It's relatively inexpensive, certainly compared to France or Italy or Spain. Um, but on the whole, I'd probably put it in the second tier. It's a big place for expat communities. Um, and so it's worth going for that. Uh, Next one's Tanzania. We were there for a month or two. I'd put that sort of similar to Bali. Like you go, you do the safaris, and then it's probably time to leave. Like you wouldn't want to just sort of like wander Tanzania. Although the coast is nice, there are some safety concerns depending on where you are. Um, but it's relatively safe by African standards. Um, but yeah, you're really there for the safari, and maybe you're there to go to an island or two. Mozambique, I haven't been there in a long time, but I lived there for a year. I'd put that one in the when I was there, it was probably mid-tier. I've heard it's gotten a lot more crime, so I'd probably put that in the uh, fourth tier. It's fine. At least I'm not at work. But it really depends on where you are, right? If you're in cities, you're going to be pretty unsafe. But the beaches are amazing. And like every place, like the actual real people that don't live on tourism are wonderful. Um, South Africa is again a mixed bag. I wasn't on the West Coast. I have been on the East Coast through like Durban and Johannesburg. In that area, I put that probably on par with Mozambique. It's got more infrastructure. It's more developed. It's got more tourist infrastructure. But again, it's really hit and miss on where you are. Some people really like it. I'm not a huge fan. Germany, I'd put probably in that third tier, maybe. This is solid. I'm happy to be here. German food is it's stupid. It's like what a 5-year-old would make if you let them cook food. It's just a lot of ketchup and a lot of fries, fried food, and a lot of meat. It's not great. The nice things about Germany is the smaller towns are really great, uh, and obviously it runs like Germany. It runs very efficiently. Everything works the way it's supposed to work. Uh, German people can be nice, but like they're not going out of their way to like befriend you. Um, it's obviously a little cold. Can be cold, but it's fine. Like if you go to Germany, you'd be perfectly happy to go there. Turkey's probably a little higher. I've been to Turkey twice, 2 or 3 times. I really like Turkey. I frequently tell people if you want to go to Egypt, go to Turkey. I would put Turkey and as probably anyone would be impressed. The second tier. Cappadocia is impressive. Istanbul is impressive. Um, the library in Ephesus is really impressive. It's like a trip of a lifetime if you ever go there. It's very cheap to be there right now. Um, Istanbul's gotten a little bit worse around the tourist areas. It's not great. You get kind of a lot of hawkers and people bugging you. But Turkish people are super nice. Um, and there's a lot of reasons for Turkey to be proud of Turkey. I wouldn't blame them at all. I really like it there. Greece. I haven't been all over Greece. I know people love the islands of Greece. Uh, Having been a little bit there, it felt a little bit like a developing country. Like things didn't run on time, things didn't work, things were messy, and streets were undone. The other thing I would say about Greece that I didn't like is I was in Athens and it felt like Detroit. It was just covered in smog, lots of traffic, lots of honking, lots of just like you almost have, yeah, it's not worth going. I wouldn't go again. Maybe I'd say the islands are probably better, but taken on a whole, I'd put that in sort of a third tier. This next one, I'm going to group them all together. They're not really grouped all together, but they are in my head. Poland, the Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Hungary, these are all the sort of near Eastern Bloc countries. They're all relatively inexpensive. They all have a lot of culture and a lot of community that you want to see, like old stuff, castles and things like that. Um, I would probably put them. I know there are people who love, like, they just swear by going to like, Eastern Europe. It's good. It's not bad. I probably wouldn't put it that high though. I'd probably put it it's kind of in between. I'm gonna put it at third tier with Greece and Germany, where it's like, yeah, no, it's cool. Like it's great. Um, I think it would have been more interesting like right after the wall came down. Um, but you still see those blocks of like uh the blocks of communist buildings. They're still around from time to time. It's relatively inexpensive. There's lots of old stuff to see. The old towns are always really cool looking. What's next? I've already forgotten. Like, oh, Switzerland. I was there for like a week. It's very expensive. Uh, it's perfectly clean. It's like Disneyland as a country. Um, what would I put that? I don't know. I'd probably put that as anyone would be impressed. If you can afford to go, you're gonna like it. I just, it's an expensive place. England, I would put that as probably heaven. That's probably right up there. Uh, London is great. If you only went to London, you'd be happy. But like you go to the Cotswolds, you go to um, like Oxford, you go to other places outside of there, and it's really there are places you won't like as much, but there are lots of places that you would love. So taken on the whole, you could easily spend a month in England and only see the amazing things and be really, really impressed. Um, yeah, and the museums are great. Like they steal good stuff. Um, Scotland, I would probably put in that second tier. Would I? The problem with Scotland, so Edinburgh is amazing. And the Highlands, I'm sure, are amazing. The problem is it's cold and rainy all the time. Like you don't get mountains and green like that far north without it being cold all the time. So maybe if you're cold acclimated, you'd like it better. Um, so I'm going to say that I would put uh, Edinburgh in the sort of the second tier, but I'm going to put Scotland in the third tier. Again, I'm not saying it's bad. It's amazing. People who go love it, and of course they love it. Mexico. Mexico gets a bad reputation because of immigration, of course, but there are lots of amazing parts of Mexico. Um, and Mexico also gets a reputation for crime. But really, the crime is more related to the area you're in. But like that's true in America, right? Like you go to the wrong parts of America and it's covered in crime. The Yucatan is really impressive. All of the pyramids and Chichen Itza and all that. The scuba diving is good. The people are super nice. And once you sort of get out of like the border town area and the few areas that people don't, you know, then it's fine. I'd put that probably as a, I don't know, it's probably a tier three, depending on where you are. Yeah, I'm gonna put it as a tier three. Um, No, I'm gonna go lower. I'm gonna go tier four. And that's not to say it's bad. It's not bad at all. It's just, I mean, and people who love Mexico, in my opinion, they fall into they're often people who just go to a resort and hang out at the resort. I'm sure the resort is like a tier one for people that are into resorts, but like, you can't just live in a Club Med all the time. Argentina, I was there for a summer. I loved Argentina. Um, It's inexpensive. It's like just all meat and wine, which is what's not to like about that. It's got culture. Like at one time, it was as wealthy as many of the countries in Europe. It has a little bit of a crime issue now, but I loved Argentina. I would put that in sort of tier two. Costa Rica, uh, I was there for like a month. I don't know. I didn't really like Costa Rica. It was fine. It's got beaches, and generally speaking, the smaller the town, the better it is. I didn't like the capital. Um, I found there would just be lots of like prostitution and drugs in every city. Like every place I'd go, people would offer me like just drugs. Uh, and that just turned me off to the whole thing. Like, yeah, I'm sure once you get away from the tourist areas, it gets better, but I would certainly not go back, and I wouldn't suggest people go if they have an option to go someplace else. So I'm gonna put actually I'm gonna put that one even lower. I'm gonna put that one. I've got my that's my first I kind of wish I didn't come here, but I'm not allowed to complain. That's probably my lowest tier so far. Um and I'm gonna lower Bali now that I'm thinking about it. Now that I'm seeing what I'm comparing it to, I'm gonna lower Bali to tier four. Bali's just overrun with like Instagram or hipster kids. It's an island with too much traffic and too many white people. Guatemala, I was there for a little while as well. Um, it's kind of, I don't know, Guatemala has a little bit of a crime issue. Um, so you can't just sort of wander, but it's also very nice. I'm going to put that in sort of a tier four with Bali, but for totally different reasons. Like Bali is safe, but just overrun with D-bags. Guatemala is not safe, but it's like got really nice Guatemalan people and it's got culture and it's got food and it's got all these great things. You just can't like wander, which is a problem. Belize, biggest thing going for Belize is they speak English. So like if you're not a traveler much, you want to go someplace in the Caribbean where people speak English, like, hey, great. Uh, I liked Belize. It was fine. I put that port sort of with Scotland and Germany and other stuff, where it's like, yeah, it's beaches, it's good weather, it's people, everyone speaks English. It runs like it was, an English colony, so it runs pretty well. Peru, I don't know a ton about Peru. I've only been just to Machu Picchu uh, and like the surrounding things to get there, but I liked it. I've heard they've had more crime issues lately in the last couple of years. But when was there, it was fine. I would put that sort of with Belize. It'd probably be a little bit lower, except for Machu Picchu. You got to go see that. UAEA, like Dubai, uh, I refer to that frequently as Republican heaven. That's what I tell my friends. It's basically an entire city built with just money. And everything is like 5 years old. Like every building you see is less than 10 years old. Um, It runs perfectly. It has zero crime. Um, you're never going to talk to anyone because you're not, from there. It's got a huge expat community. Um, yeah, it's fine. Like there's nothing to do there. Like everything there is to do, they built for you to do. Like they just spent a bunch of money and like built a spin-off of the Louvre where you see sort of secondhand hand me off Louvre art. So I would put that sort of in the same category as I'd put that actually lower. I'd put that with Costa Rica as the like it's fine. Um, and a lot of people go there for work, which I get. Uh, there's just a lot of money there. Egypt, I often complain about Egypt. My wife hears me complain about Egypt, and then she went to Egypt with me, and she understands why I complain about Egypt. I would never tell anyone to go to Egypt, and I wouldn't go back. And literally, when I had a layover, I didn't leave my hotel. Uh, like if you just Photoshop yourself into a picture in front of the pyramids, you'll appreciate it more, and you won't have to deal with all the people around the pyramids. Um, if you want to see Egyptian artifacts, like go to the British Museum. If you want to see Egyptian like like stuff, like all the stone stuff and all the old-timey, you know, whatever ancient stuff, go to Turkey. With the exception of the Egyptian Museum and standing in front of the pyramids to take a photo, there is nothing good about Egypt. Um, because it's just, I don't know, if it feels like everyone's trying to scam you and everyone's trying to steal stuff, it's because everyone's trying to scam you and everyone's trying to steal stuff. I just don't like it. I would never recommend it to anyone. If you do go to Egypt, buy one of those river cruises. So you've got a guide with you all the time and never leave their side because they'll keep away the touts and the scammers and stuff. And the people that I hear that have had good experiences with Egypt, that's what they do. They don't travel by themselves. They travel as part of a tour, and the tour just shows them stuff, and they never talk to a single Egyptian. I will say this, Egyptian food, totally good. Cambodia, Angkor Wat alone is just like one of the top 5 places in the world. Although it's gotten a lot more people over the years, like word's kind of gotten out. It's also very inexpensive. The people are way nicer than they should be. Um, I would put that probably with Argentina and Switzerland, just because of Angkor Wat. Like it's worth going there. It's better than the pyramids. Um, it's just not something you saw in your history books as a kid. So I put Cambodia in sort of tier two. Vietnam, I'd almost put Vietnam in tier one. Vietnam's amazing. Like the fact that, yeah, no, Vietnam is just like chaos, in the best way, in like the happiest, best way. You never really feel unsafe in Vietnam. Nobody is like giving Americans grief about Vietnam. Like there are people trying to sell you stuff, but it's not absurd. I would actually put Vietnam probably in that top list with Thailand and England and Italy and Spain. Laos, very cheap, not much to do, but pretty. So I put that in the category of it's fine, at least I'm not at work. Um, there's nothing to do there though. There are lots of temples, but like once you've seen a few temples that are sort of spray painted gold, you've kind of seen them all. But the people are nice. It's cheap. There are temples, and if you went there, you'd be happy you went. Japan. Years ago I would have put Japan sort of lower on the list, just because of cost. But now that it's so inexpensive, Japan's probably higher on the list. Um, I don't know if I'd want to stay there forever because, Japan has a very insular culture. Uh, but you're very, very safe. Everything runs perfectly. Everything is they've got old stuff to see. They have a unique culture that isn't like overrun with McDonald's. So I would put that sort of in tier two with anyone would be impressed. Um, yeah, if Japan was the only country you'd ever been to in your life, you'd think Japan was the most amazing country in the world, because it's really, really good. Iceland is also in that same category, tier two. Uh, Iceland is very expensive. Iceland and Switzerland are like they're gonna get you. Iceland is the only place where I ever had a taxi driver refuse to take money from me because I had to take a taxi like 3 or 4 miles, and he and it was like $40 or $50. Yeah, I know, really expensive. And he was like, "Where are you from?" And I'm like, "America." And he's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Like, I get it. Like, we're expensive. Just this ride's on me." Um, there's the Northern Lights. There's all of the ice stuff. Iceland looks like Game of Thrones, or like a fire and ice sort of place. It looks like what the world probably looked like on day three. It's an entire place. It looks like it's being created in front of you. Lots of waterfalls. Puerto Rico, I know people like Puerto Rico. I'm not terribly one of those people. I put that in the it's fine. I'm probably not at work. It's a little, it's fine. Like there's nothing wrong with it. Like I couldn't say a bad thing about Puerto Rico. It's just not my thing. They don't really have that many old things to see. The things they do have, this is a problem with the whole Caribbean, is there like, they weren't meant, they weren't, the Renaissance wasn't there, right? But it's great. Like there's nothing wrong with it. You'll feel very at home if you go to Puerto Rico, if you're from America. It's just like America speaking Spanish, although a lot of people there speak English. Next one's Cuba. I went there in a brief period at the end of Obama's term when Americans could go. Um, it's really amazing. It's like a world unto itself. It would be in the top tier. The problem is you can't go everywhere and you really can't talk to Cubans very much. So you're really going there to see what Cuba looks like and what a world caught, like stopped in time looks like. So I'd put that in tier two with Iceland and Japan. Um, really impressive, but probably, if you could wander freely, it'd probably be in tier one. Also, Cuba's very safe. There's one thing about dictatorships, man. They make people safe. UAE is the same way, right? Like when everything is swift and death, like nobody steps out of line. Um, but yeah, if you can go to Cuba, it's absolutely worth going. Canada, that's like judging America. It's like judging Canada. It's too big to judge. I've only been to Calgary, and I maybe have been to the Niagara Falls area. Canadians are in the this is probably heaven category. I've honestly never met a mean Canadian. I've probably never met a Canadian I didn't like. Um, and obviously, there's like lots of snow skiing and stuff to do, and Canada's really just very chill. They have walkable cities and all of that. So, but it's not very exotic. Uh, so I put that probably in tier three. Not because of anything that Canada's doing wrong, just because like it's kind of like America, but if America had health insurance and people were nice to each other, and they did cities better. But it's also very cold. And again, you'll notice the trend here where I don't like cold cities. Um, Cold countries. Panama, um, probably in a tier four. It's fine. I've only been to Panama City and driven around that whole area. It's again a little bit like Costa Rica, and then it's a lot of natural parks and reserves, and a lot of Americans are retiring there. Um, but there's not much to do. Although it's definitely I've been on the upswing for crime and things like that. It's much safer now. Bolivia, I wasn't there for long. I was only there for like a week. And I was only in the capital and then the salt flats, which are the flats, whatever they're called, where it's like looks like a mirror. That was cool. I wouldn't go out of my way to go there, but it was good for the photo. I'd put that probably with Panama. Um, but again, I don't know. I haven't been outside of the capital and outside of like the one touristy thing. Morocco, if you absolutely wanted to go to Egypt, go to Morocco instead. Um, Morocco has some of the same problems of Egypt as people trying to sell you stuff and be scammy and the way they treat women, and you really can't go there as a single woman and blah blah blah. But it's better than Egypt. Um, so I'd put it probably with Costa Rica and UAE. They do have a little bit of a crime issue, but not bad. But like America has a little bit of a crime issue. So what are you gonna do? All right, so these I've lumped all together. The Netherlands, Belgium, and Denmark. Honestly, when I think about them all the same, even though I know they're not the same. It's, you know, like happy people living a quality life. There's no crime. People are polite. People are trusting. There are bike routes everywhere. The only real concern when you're in these countries is getting hit by a bike, not getting hit by a car. Like everything just works great. There is some art there and some things to see. Nothing that like, there's not like the Colosseum there, but whatever, it's great. I'd put that probably in tier two. Although if I was rating places I'd want to live, that would probably be in tier one. Um, yeah, I can't like there's nothing bad to say about any of them. Um, at all, really, except that it's cold. Uh, but like a lot of these places in Northern Europe are cold. And from a biking standpoint, it's definitely a tier one. It would be worth it just to go see biking and stuff. Um, and like, they're just really nice. Like when your life is not like vicious, people are much nicer to each other. They are a little bit insular. Like it's hard to go get a beer with people sometimes, although I'm sure you could if you tried. Romania, I liked Romania quite a bit. Um, I'd probably put this in tier three. Romania is not expensive. They have castles. They have Transylvania. They have all that stuff. Once you get into the more rural communities, it still shows a lot of the remnants of the Cold War in Russia. It doesn't really run as efficiently as you would think. Things are sometimes more confusing than they should be. Once in a while, you're going to come across like a squat toilet. Some of these countries are squat toilet countries. A lot of them are actually. Um, I liked Romania a lot. I would actually probably go to Romania before I would go to like some of these Eastern European countries like Hungary, Slovakia, Czech Republic. They're all kind of in the same category to me. They're all fine. I already labeled Greece. Norway and Sweden, I'm just going to put those together because they're kind of the same in my mind. Um, they're beautiful. Like, what are you going to say? Like, they're amazing. I was only in the cities, but if I were to go back, the first thing I would do is leave the cities. Um, so I put that in the same category as Romania, but for totally different reasons, of course. Um, they're another place though where like it falls in that same thing with the Netherlands, Belgium, Denmark is like when people are sort of taken care of, like the whole mood of the city changes. Like you don't see homeless people, you don't see poverty, you don't see problems. Like the buildings work, the lights work, the infrastructure works, everything works. Um, Austria, I separated this one out, although I could have grouped it with some other ones. I'd put that in the second tier. Anyone would be impressed. Um, Austria is really nice. Like you'd be again, go to Austria. Uh, it's right up there with like they have all the old stuff, all old buildings and churches and castles and all the stuff that you want to see. And the people are nice and it works and the food is not great, but it's better than German food. Um, you could easily spend a week or two in Austria and be very happy and a little bit broke at the end of it. India. I think I spent 6 weeks in India. India is tough, man. It's a hard country to visit. I would not go probably as a woman by myself. Um, uh, it has a huge population, a huge culture. The cities are polluted. The traffic is terrible. Um, the you have to be always on the lookout for crime, and there's touts, and people rarely give you change unless you like really are mean. Scams are everywhere. It's still better than Egypt, but I'd put it down here at the bottom. Um, the food is fine. Indian food's nice. Indian food in America is better than Indian food in India, to my palate, but that's just me. Um, but give it 20 more years. China, I lived there for a year. It's probably changed quite a bit, but I put China probably in like tier two or tier three. China is very different depending on where you are. Like, um, Beijing is different than Shanghai, which is different than Hong Kong. They have loads of high-speed trains. You can get everywhere easily now. There's lots of things to see that were in your school books, like the Xi'an Warriors and the Great Wall and the Forbidden City. Actually, I'd put this probably in tier two. I think I've talked myself into tier two. The food is great. Don't judge Chinese food by American Chinese food. They are often not the same thing. And like America, they have lots of um, regional differences in their food. The other nice thing about China is now there's more and more people in China who speak English, so it's pretty easy to travel to. And the last one, the Caribbean islands. I lumped all these small Caribbean islands. I lumped all these together because in my mind, there's kind of two sets of Caribbean islands. There's like the poor ones you see on the news, like Haiti, and then there's the small ones that are like an American or a British protectorate or something like that, that, have pretty beaches and they accept dollars and cruisers pull up. Um, if you want to sit on a beach, it's great. After about a week, what are you going to do? Nothing. There's nothing to see. There's nothing to do, but they're pretty beaches. So I'd probably put that down in tier four for the, and I know that maybe different Caribbean islands are different, but uh, but yeah, it depends. I guess it depends on what Caribbean island you're in. And as far as I can tell, there's no difference in any of them. There's just like the ones where cruise ships stop and the ones that are too poor for cruise ships to stop. So that's my list. John, if you're watching this, now you know where I would suggest that you go. Um, and thank you for sticking this out. Bye.